Usual. Bob, how's it going, man?
Great, Raleigh. How are you?
I'm doing good.
I saw the Lightning won last night, 3-1.
Yes, I'm excited. They strung two wins together. They're not having the best season, but that's okay.
You got to start from somewhere. He stopped 24 out of 25 shots.
Yep, and he had a shutout the game before. So
that's amazing.
Almost an hour and 20 minutes without any goals. So wow. That's a good way to get back.
Yeah. That's great.
Actually, it's funny that you brought him up because he kind of goes in with what we were talking about. He missed the first 2 months of the season because he had to get a surgery.
Yeah.
And, one of the things that's really important about, being sick, and if you get sick, is having enough muscle. And a lot of times not having a lot of muscle can lead to what we're going to talk about today, which is slip and falls and how to prevent them, and how much they cost people and the healthcare industry every year. So that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah. Yeah. It turns out that there's, about 3 million ER visits every year in the United States with people that have fallen. And about 1 in 5 of those have caused a serious injury, whether it's a head trauma, a broken bone, like a broken hip. And it costs the United States over $50 billion a year in expenses to care for people who have fallen. Some of them die. It's one of the leading causes of death in people over 65 years old. And it's something that is almost 100% preventable.
It is.
With the right knowledge and the right strength of your muscles, which contributes to the strength of your bones. And so we're going to go over today all the different strategies that people can use as they age for themselves or for their parents, grandparents, friends that are elderly, to help make sure that everyone in your sphere is as prepared as possible.
Absolutely. One of the things that I remember my mom would get really mad when people fall. Even if it's a younger person falling, it seems funny, right? The person, hits themselves. But it's not something that you should really laugh at. They make home video shows about people getting injured. And when you really look at some of these falls, these people are really damaging. Shoulders, falling on your shoulder, putting your hands out to catch and breaking a wrist.
Yeah.
Just slipping and falling backwards, breaking a tailbone. Someone I know very closely slipped on our front porch and ended up really injuring the tailbone. And the tailbone, that lasts. That's not something that heals quickly. It actually takes a really long time.
It happened to me when I was 11 years old. I was playing in a basketball game, and I went up for a shot, and a guy came and pushed me.
Ooh.
He pushed me backwards, and there was a set of steps near the basketball court, brick steps.
Ooh.
And there was a point, and my tailbone hit right on the corner of that brick step. And I was in shock. It was really bad. But the other thing is, I had another friend who, when he was about 35, he fell on the basketball court and cut his elbow on the blacktop. And it got infected with MRSA. And he almost died.
Really?
And he had passed it on to his 2 dogs, and they almost died as well.
Oh, my.
And we actually helped him with our lignans to recover.
So that's another thing you don't think about. It's like, okay, yeah, you can fall, you can break the bones, right? But then if you get a cut or a scrape and it doesn't get cleaned properly, or there's something, unfortunately, like MRSA on the surface that you cut it on and you don't pay much attention to it, that can lead to a whole nother set of problems, diseases, infections, amputations, things like, MRSA and different things. You get so infected, you have to cut your arm off.
Yeah, and if you end up going to the hospital, you're susceptible there to nosocomial infections. If you have to have surgery, there's possible infection during surgery. other complications, blood clots, that type of thing.
Right.
It's common if someone needs surgery that they might get a blood clot. So
Right.
it's way better if you can prevent falls.
Right. I mean, we live in Florida, so like as the winter time comes, we don't see a lot of ice on the walkways and snow at all. But for people who live in climates like that, which we have a lot of viewers who do, and a lot of our customers do, that's another thing. Be aware of the environment, right? Yeah. If it's rained or snowed or rained the night before and it's sub-zero temperatures, it's going to be freezing. Watch yourself as you go walk out on the steps. Use salt. I don't know if they do that anymore. I remember when I lived in New Jersey, everybody had a giant bag of salt in their garage, so that way when it rained, you could, walk out of your house without killing yourself.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, I grew up in upstate New York, and it was very slippery there. I remember falling one night on my way home from Boy Scouts. I was walking home. People walked everywhere back then.
Mm-hmm.
I slipped on the ice, came down on my left hip, and it created a compression neuropathy. And I would get these really, really powerfully painful stinging sensations in my upper leg as a result of that. And it lasted for decades. In fact, still today, if my underwear is pushing right against my hip bone for a period of time, it'll start to create that over again.
Oh.
And that's more than 50 years, 55 years later. It still bothers me. So that's it's not just for older people. But in regard to prevention, obviously, if there's ice and snow, you have to be prepared for that. But a lot of falls also happen right in your own home.
Mm-hmm.
And we had heard the story about one of our customers who fell backwards in his bathroom and hit his neck on the bathtub.
Yeah, the ledge that you have to step over to get into the tub.
Yeah, he hit he had a full-size bathtub, so he had to step in over a 2.5 foot high thing. He hit his neck on that and broke his neck.
Absolutely. And I remember that.
Yeah, this was the man that neck ended up healed from using the circulation mat.
Right.
There's an attachment on the circulation mat for healing broken bones.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a typical fall, that people fall in their bathroom, and also they fall at their entranceway. People are coming upstairs, their hands are full, they're trying to open the door with groceries in their hands. They might have a rug that slides a little bit when they come into the house. So the entranceway, you have to pay very close attention to.
Mm-hmm. Shoes, people leave shoes there.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah. Well, you want to leave your shoes outside.
Exactly.
So at the entranceway issue is you want to look to see if there's a set of stairs to go up into your entranceway. A lot of people live in houses. There is. Make sure there's very sturdy handrails and that they're in good repair.
Right.
And then when you get to the top landing, you want to have a place where you can put your stuff down without it getting wet or dirty.
Yep. I actually have, like, right by my front door, I have it's like a nightstand. It would normally be a nightstand for next to the bed, but it's got a little drawer, and, I could set stuff on there as I'm getting the keys.
And the idea is not to try to open the door with your keys while you're holding on to 3 different things.
Not only is it hard, but then, you could drop your eggs or then step backwards and trip on something.
Yeah. And you also want to, if you're going to bring your shoes inside the house, you are going to wipe them off really well so they're not wet when you get inside the house.
Right. That's true.
And then when you get inside the house, you want to have a rug that's good for further drying your shoes that doesn't slip at all, that's anchored fast.
Plastic
to
bag.
the floor.
Yeah.
And then you clear your shoes again and handle your groceries without your keys in your hand.
Right.
And very, very methodically bring your things into the house, focusing on your balance, and get into a habit of, I'm going to set my keys down over here, then I'm going to go back, grab my groceries, maybe one at a time so I can still hold on, especially if it's wintertime and things are wet. Just take your time.
Right.
And that will eliminate a huge percentage of falls if you pay attention to that front entranceway.
Absolutely. So we talk about the physical things like, slippery, things in the way, clutter. that cause the falls. But so what are some of the things that can happen with your body, right, that can cause you to fall even if there's nothing in the way?
Yeah, so the main one is muscle weakness, which is going to lead to a few different problems. Weakness where you might just the littlest thing can knock you off balance.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a small dog could get tangled up in your feet, that type of thing. But also the weakening of your bones. So people can fall and be fine.
Right.
But if your bones are brittle because your muscles are weak, when you fall, you actually are going to hurt yourself severely.
Much more, yeah.
And in addition, there are spontaneous fractures with people that have weak bones. A lot of times people say, oh, that person fell and broke their leg. Well, maybe, but quite often they actually broke their leg and then they fell. Their leg snapped while they were walking because their bones got so brittle.
Oof.
Right? You can fracture your hip while you're walking and then you fall and it breaks it worse. And they're like, oh, they fell and broke their hip. Not always. Sometimes their hip spontaneously fractured.
Gotcha.
And so the main thing you want to do is maintain your muscle weight. You want to maintain your strength, your stamina, your muscle mass.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to do that through resistance exercise,
right?
Whether it's stretch band, calisthenics with your own body weight against the wall, chair exercises if you're in a chair most of the time, weightlifting, those types of exercises, along with the proper diet, like using our gladiator barley, will keep you strong enough so your bones don't get weak, and the gladiator barley will help keep your bones strong as well.
Right. And one of the things that I kind of brought up, the athlete, our goalie here for the Lightning, Andrei Vasilevsky, but these type of things, the strengthening of the muscles and making sure they're in good condition is really key to preventing it. And then it's also important that if you do get injured, that you do these same type of things, right? Because you're going to want to be able to, slowly bring the muscle back to what it is and help you gain your strength through, I guess you could say, like if you do get injured, a rehab thing.
Yes.
So instead of waiting till you fall to do the rehab, do these things before, right?
Yeah.
Do these, you just stretch band exercises, slight resistant weights. Obviously walking is great. A lot of people don't get out and walk. Yeah.
The other thing is, on the bottom of your feet, you have special nerves called proprioceptors. And that as your feet are touching the ground, it's stimulating those proprioceptors and it's sending a signal to your brain. It kind of lets you know where you are in space.
Okay.
But a lot of it is related to vision also. People have a much harder time with their balance when it's dark.
Okay.
Right. So your vision, you're seeing things. You're seeing a wall. You're seeing the floor.
Elevation.
Your feet are being stimulated with the proprioceptive nerves firing. And so you're okay. You're a balanced bipedal motion human being.
Right.
But in the dark, which is another big thing about your house or wherever else you might go, you want to make sure that there's lights, so when you come up the steps, the light comes on, right? And you're not fiddling around in the dark, right? Because your balance diminishes with that being the case. Balance also diminishes as you age because the way the proprioceptive nerves lie, they're activated most accurately when your feet are healthy, meaning they're not flattened out. And as we age, our feet get flat. And the reason is most of us, 95%, are born with feet that are in a perfect shape, and median values of a perfect foot. You have beautiful arches, your medial longitudinal arch, your lateral longitudinal arch, your transverse arches underneath where the met heads come together, and your tarsal arch. They're all designed to keep you in balance and to keep you in a shape where the proprioceptive nerves are activated.
Gotcha.
But as you age, because we're still genetically of the mode of walking on soft surfaces, dirt, sand, and gravel.
Okay.
But hardwood floors and concrete is new inventions. And as we walk on these hard surfaces, our our arches, our ligaments tend to stretch, and now the proprioceptive nerves are not activated the same way. So you want to know if that's happening to you, and you want to be able to wear your arch supports. So there's a type of orthotic called symmetry orthotics that are in the shape of a perfect foot, and they move with your gait. So when people walk, very important to know for preventing falls, your heel will strike the ground. You come to mid stance, and as the weight comes over the middle of your foot, those arches flatten. And then as you go to your toe, most of it is on your big toe, the arch springs back, and that gives you spring in your walk.
Okay.
Right? But as your feet get flat and you're doing this, there's no spring.
Gotcha.
So the symmetry orthotics are in the shape of a perfect foot. You put them in your shoes, and over time, your feet reshape to that perfect shape.
Gotcha.
And now your proprioceptors are firing properly again, and you have a spring in your walk, so you're not shuffling.
A lot of people don't think about foot pain or foot problems leading to other pain like knee or joint pain up.
Yeah.
But I see a lot of stuff on TV from a particular shoe provider, but there's a lot of people and a lot of stories, athletes that I know that they have such bad foot problems, and they can't really continue to play. People who are in ice skates all the time. If you think of, again, back to the hockey, those ice skates, they're tied super tight. You're definitely not hitting your proprioceptors correctly because you're on a rail. People who wear cleats, again, cleats are very tight, make your feet very narrow. It's not. It can definitely cause problems to your balance.
And basketball as well. Basketball is played on hardwood floor, and the other thing that happens as your arches tend to stretch, the posterior part of that medial longitudinal arch, right, is attached to a bone in the back of your foot, and as it stretches, it pulls it away from that bone, and you'll develop heel spurs in that spot. The symmetry orthotics will help to straighten your feet back out. That ligament will reattach to the calcaneus bone, and the spurs will go away.
Okay.
So it's very good overall type of thing to be aware of.
People don't pay attention to their feet. They really don't. They just think they're attached. Actually, a lot of people, I know some people who can't even stand the sight of feet, including their own.
Right.
So they don't they don't think about it. They don't take good care of them.
Right.
And then they end up having back problems or hip problems or knee problems.
When I was in New York, I knew dentists that would prescribe orthotics to people for TMJ. Their foot problems were actually causing their jaw problems. It's called the kinetic chain. So it happens. The ankle's connected to the knee, to the hip,
we all know
to
the song,
back, right?
That's
real.
It goes
obviously all the way up into the atlas of your cervical spine. And it affects the way that your jaw muscles are functioning, and the way that your jaw bones lie can cause excruciating headaches. You can almost instantaneously, I've seen this many times, people put these orthotics in, their knee pain is gone immediately, their hip pain's gone immediately, their jaw pain is gone immediately, because as soon as you reshape their feet, it changes the entire alignment of the kinetic chain.
Wow, it's not only true with nutrition, but if you don't have a good foot foundation, you can't be healthy to your 100% extent either.
Yeah. So, Raleigh, another thing is like this. So we talked about the entranceway to your house, but you want to look at the entire path of access to your house and to your business. So when you are analyzing a building for ADA compliance, right? The Americans with Disabilities Act, and you want to see if there's clear access for people with disabilities, you do this retracement called path of access. So if a person's going to be working in this room where we are and they have a disability, You have to look at where they're going to go. You have to look at the door they're coming through. How easy is it for the door to come through? What about the hallway? What about the exit door?
Mm-hmm.
And what about the parking lot where they're coming in from?
Mm.
And you have to go all the way back to when they pull in off of the street and park their car. Every single step along the way has to be analyzed by law, according to the ADA, to make sure that that path of access is free. Now, when you do it in regard to prevention of falls, you do the same thing. You trace back the path of access to where you're going to park your car when you come back from the grocery store, and you look and you say, okay, can I navigate from my car to the steps safely? If not, you might want to put in a fence that has a railing that you can hold on to that goes around.
Mm-hmm.
So it's connected all the way to the porch,
Right.
and you pull your car up next to that railing. So as soon as you get out of the car, you have a place to hold on to. And then you don't put your groceries all the way in the back. Put them in the door, right in the back seat,
Mm-hmm.
right by the door that's going to be against that railing. Now you've got a safe path of access all the way to your cupboard, right? And you want to look at your cupboards. Do I have to get up on a stool to put my groceries away?
Right. Yeah.
If you do, you need to change that.
Yeah, I mean that's small things you don't really think of. A lot of the times people say, "Well, I can't really change around my whole house," but the things that you don't use frequently or that you use very infrequently, you put those up higher. And the things that you're going to use all the time, put on the lazy Susan that's in the bottom that you can get to easier.
Or get rid of half the stuff that you never use.
That's true.
Right?
Most of that stuff never really gets used.
Here's the other one, Raleigh, very important, is nighttime. A lot of falls happen when people get up at night to go to the bathroom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Why? Because it's dark. Right? So it's dark. They're not really alert because they're kind of groggy from sleep.
Right.
And they have to navigate and find their way from one room to another room down the hallway. And that's incredibly important to make sure that that path of access is exactly how you want it.
Yeah.
And you have to have a lamp close enough nearby to your bed. So when you're ready to get up to go use the bathroom, you turn that lamp on. You can see your way to the next light, whether it's the hallway light. It's easy to find and turn on. And it's easy to get then to the bathroom and turn the light on there. So it's lit in sequence along the way.
Yeah, I actually, one of the cool things we found for our house was it's like it goes into where the regular outlets go for the 2 outlets, but it's got 4 or 6 plugs on it. Plus it's got a USB where you can plug your phone into, and it's got a little nightlight on it.
Yeah.
So like right next to my bed, I actually happen to have a plug that's accessible. So I put the thing on there, and if at night, if it senses motion, it'll actually turn on a little bit. Yeah. So you can see right away. Then I put another one of those in my bathroom, and I put another one of those in the hallway on the way to the bathroom. So I have like a little lit thing a little lighting that happens as I go, because I have 3 black cats, and it's easy to trip on those in the middle of the night if you can't see them. Half the time they're maybe sleeping and they don't know you're coming either. So you step on them, and all of a sudden you've got a scratched up thigh or a leg, and you're falling into the toilet head first.
So that type of thing is really important, that path of access to the bathroom. And if you need to put night lights along the way, you don't want them in your bedroom because you want your bedroom to be dark. Mm-hmm. But you could put night lights along the way too.
Yeah, the one I have is really cool. Like, you can either touch it to turn it on, or you could set it to a setting that when it senses motion, it'll turn on. Yeah. So that way it's not on the whole night, because I don't particularly like a night light that's on the whole time.
That's the way you want to do it. You also want to have non-slip socks. So if you're going to go to bed at night with socks on, or you're going to wear socks around the house, you want to make sure they're non-slip. Lots of falls happen when people wearing socks. Their floor is dusty and slippery, and boom, they slip. So you want to clean.
Especially in the colder months when you're going to want to wear socks more often, or slippers. Make sure they have like a rubber base. Yeah. You can get those socks with the little treads on them. They're more comfortable too,
or
if I'm being honest.
Non-stick slippers, especially at the side of your bed. If at nighttime you get up to use the
Slide 'em
bathroom,
in.
slide into those non-slip, slippers.
Yeah, I actually heard that people who wear socks tend to sleep better than those who don't.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard that before.
Yeah.
I've heard that.
Yep.
Especially when
But
it's
sleep
cold.
is a really big one. A lot of people fall because they're sleep deprived. When you're sleep deprived, you can't pay attention as well.
Yep.
And so there's a whole separate podcast on sleep.
Absolutely.
People can watch.
Yeah, if you go to boomerboost.com, we have a show on a lot of this stuff, but mainly you can find these topics in greater depth, the importance of muscles and physical activity. The one we just said, I just lost my train of thought. But sleep.
Yeah.
Tips for better sleep. See, I better get more sleep so I could remember better.
There you go.
There you go. But yeah, go to boomerboost.com and you can search up many, many topics. There's a whole podcast and blog section at the top or on the side. Click on it. We've got probably well over 100 shows and blogs now. So go check it out.
Yep. So one last thing, Raleigh, is there's some really great exercises for balance. You can just go and do a search online, exercises to improve my balance. You'll find all kinds of them. One in particular is called the pendulum.
Yeah, you were telling me about this.
Yeah, and you can stand next to something that you can hold on to, like this table, and you would stand on one foot and have the other leg free, and you would swing that leg back and forth, right? And move your opposite hand with that leg, right? So you're making this motion like this, but you can hold on with one hand and move the other, okay? As you practice that, you can practice letting go.
Okay.
So you're standing on one foot, moving the other leg, and then switch and do the other one. If you do this every day, you'll get more flexibility in your legs. Your legs will get stronger, and you'll be pushing down on those proprioceptors because you're standing on one leg, and they will get more reactive.
Okay.
And you'll get better balance. The other really great thing about that exercise is it's a metaphorical exercise for getting back on track. So when you learn this exercise at a bioenergetic clinic, they actually will have you do the exercise and you're moving both arms but one leg. And then they tell you to purposely throw yourself off balance, tip to the side. And now all of a sudden you're like this, and you have to focus with your breath and your concentration on getting back on track, getting back to stable and a nice, smooth, steady gait, right? Then switch to the other leg, throw yourself off balance on purpose, and come back. And the more you practice it, the better your proprioceptors work. And it's a metaphor for getting knocked off balance emotionally or work-wise. It's like I'm off track. Anytime you feel like you're off track, you can stand up, do this exercise, and after you've done it enough, all you have to do is think about it.
Right.
And the next thing you know, you're back on track with what you want to accomplish.
That's cool. So basically what you're doing is you're kind of using the physical signal from the body to be in balance to trigger your mind to say, here we go. Let's get back in balance. Let's focus up or whatever it is that you're doing.
Exactly.
That's cool.
That's it.
I like it.
Right.
So the facts on falling, especially, you're going through the holidays, you're going to be around maybe some elderly members of the family. Make sure those pathways are clear. That way we don't have any broken hips over the holidays. That's the worst. But yeah, all good stuff. Please join us next Thursday as well. We'll have another show for you. Bob, thank you.
Thank you, Raleigh.
You have a great day. Thank you, and have a good day.